Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Fosdal, and I am from Lansing, Illinois, but I'm currently living in Charleston. My favorite part of Christmas break was baking about 7 dozen cookies and also seeing some family that I hadn't seen in a really long time. So it was great and relaxing, and I'm ready to get back into the semester. Sorry if I sound a little nasally in this video. I was waiting to record to hopefully see if I got over my cold, and apparently I have not. So it's just gonna lead to a little bit of a nasally discussion today, but hopefully you can bear with it. So, leadership is incredibly important to me. I have always been interested in what makes a good leader and who are the leaders in my life that I look up to and whether I want to be a leader. The aspects of a leader that matter to me is knowing that they can delegate, that they are going to listen to me, and that they're consistent. I've had a ton of leadership opportunities and examples in my life, but the one that is most recent and stands out to me as the biggest learning opportunity for me was this past summer. This summer, I worked as a food service manager at Camp Manitoqua. It's a small Christian camp in Frankfort, Illinois. It was actually the camp that I went to my entire life. So, a couple summers ago, I got a job there as a lead cook, which was a great leadership experience because it was small, I had a team under me, and it was great. But this past year, my boss asked me if I would be interested in being the food service manager. It'd mean more hours, better pay, and more responsibility. And I love responsibility. I like when people trust me enough to give me extra responsibilities, and it makes me work even better because I feel like my bosses trust me. And so I was super interested, and she's like, "Oh, you'll only be creating the menu and ordering food sometime a little bit and helping the kids with allergies." Sounded like a not so bad deal for more money and more hours, which I needed. Well, it turns out it was a lot more difficult than that. Um, I was creating menus every week and also figuring out when those food needed to be prepped and when it needed to be started and how many people we needed to make food for and doing numbers and also ordering the food twice a week through the system and doing inventory a few times a week because our inventory system was a mess. And then also creating menus for the children with allergies and making sure that the staff understood what those allergies were and what they needed to do, whether the food needed to be made in complete separation or if the kids could just go through the line and just not choose the foods that had the allergies in them, or whether we had to make sure that they understood what gluten was and what vegetarian meant and what things were in that had dairy in it. And then the biggest part that I was not expecting was kitchen staff management. And that turned out to probably be the most difficult part of the job, was because I just wasn't expecting to do any of the human resources side of the position, but um, but I probably learned the most from that too. The management of staff was the most difficult because I had only been a lead cook for a summer and then off and on during my senior year, and then I was working over people who had been working in that kitchen for over 20 years. And so I was younger than their children, and they had to look to me for answers. And sometimes I didn't know those answers because I was new and I had not experienced those issues before. And so that made it very difficult. And there was also sometimes where they thought that they knew the right way, but we legally couldn't do that way for food safety reasons. Like, oh, well, we should just not store things in the original boxes, when we had to store them in the original boxes because that's where the expiration dates were. Or using new food first instead of old food first. It was just it was a very interesting experience. And from those opportunities of learning, I did learn how to become my own leader. And those aspects of a leader that I talked about earlier, delegation, listening, and consistency, is what I really developed in myself this past summer. So, looking at delegation, I learned my job boundaries. I learned, okay, I am in charge of making sure the menu is created, ordering food, and making sure the staff is following food safety regulations and also getting all the food made in time. So if there was issues with facilities, I was in charge of letting my boss know about it, but I didn't have to come up with a solution because that was not in my area of expertise. I just had to let my boss know, like, hey, this wasn't cleaned properly by the facilities manager. I'm not in charge of facilities management. I just have to tell my boss about it. And so making sure I didn't have to take all that responsibility when it wasn't necessary made my life a lot easier. But I also learned how to delegate within my kitchen staff. So if there was a lead cook that I could trust, I said, give the jobs that people are best at to those people. So we had one girl who hated cooking, but she loved prep work. So we made sure that she did prep. Whereas there was a person who loved cleaning, and we had tons of cleaning projects that need to get done. So we asked her to do the cleaning projects. And obviously we couldn't do that all the time because sometimes there was no prep work that needed to be done, and so the person that loved prep work had to do some cooking. But it really made the kitchen flow a lot smoother and everybody was a lot happier because they were actually doing the things that they wanted to do, and everything was still getting done in a reasonable time. I also listened to the complaints of other people and of my workers, and I also listened to what was important to my bosses, and I was able to change situations so that people were more comfortable. We had some workers that just didn't want that were having some struggles this summer, and by listening to what was going on in their life, I was able to better understand how they were working, and they also felt heard and understood a little bit more, and so they put out better work. And also, I built in consistency into the workplace. There wasn't consistent breaks being taken in the kitchen, which was not good because it was making people work slower and less motivated to work because they're like, well, I'm working for 8 hours, but I'm not even getting my 30-minute break. So, and that's a huge issue, one legally, but also just it doesn't lead to a productive environment. And so one of my big goals this summer was making the lead cooks understand how important those 30-minute breaks are and those 15-minute breaks are, but also making sure that the workers didn't take advantage of their 30-minute breaks and take a 35 or 40-minute break. So making sure that everybody got what they were expected to get, but they weren't getting over what they were expected, made for a better, more productive environment, and we still got all the work done. People didn't have to do incredible amounts of overtime. Excuse me. Another thing that I learned that was really important was building up morale. So I did little events or made them little things. Like I made them cookies one day and we had a root beer float party. And so they did it during their normal breaks. And my boss was willing to pay for it because it was making people happier to work there and they felt more included in the camp environment, which was really great. And I was still able to do extra events and feed more people and stay under our designated food budget, which was really a cool experience to know that I was helping the camp's bottom line while also providing a better work environment for the people who were working there day in and day out. So, all of that being said, looking at whether I'm more of a leader or more of a follower, I'd say I'm both. I really enjoy middle management. I enjoy the position that I was in this summer, where I had people under me, but I still had bosses that I could go to for issues that came up. I liked the responsibility of having a team under me where I knew what was going on in the environment, and I could see real meaningful change with the actions that I was taking, which was so cool. Not only seeing the kids have a great experience, especially the children with food allergies, that was awesome. Like seeing them have a great camp experience while being able to maintain their special diets, that was fantastic. And also seeing people love working in the kitchen because I was a good leader. But I didn't have to take complete responsibility of everything. I wasn't in charge of schedules. I didn't have to worry about that. My boss handled that. I didn't have to worry about the fact that electricity kept on surging and shutting off our refrigerator. I just needed to know that happened, but then I could tell my boss about it, and she dealt with it. When the ice company suddenly just stopped delivering ice to us, which when you go through like 12 bags of ice a week, like that's a pretty big deal, but I didn't have to make the phone calls to the ice company, my boss did. So that was really great. So I love the middle management part because it gives me freedom to be creative and have responsibility while not having to worry about some of the bigger issues like creating the budget. I just had to follow the budget. I didn't have to worry about all the parental issues. Like we had a child have allergic reaction because she held something that had dairy in it. I had to make sure my kitchen staff was retrained on and made sure that they were doing the proper steps necessary, but I didn't have to worry about the legal issues that could come with it. I just needed to make sure that my staff was following the exact recommendations that they needed to. So all in all, this definitely determined the fact that I like having leadership opportunities, but I don't want it to take over my whole life. I saw leaders at the camp that I was at where they were at camp 24/7. And I don't want to be at my future job 24/7. I want to have hobbies outside of it. I want to spend time with my family. And so I think middle management is a really great place for me. And in the future, maybe that will change. And maybe I'll want to be a head of a company or be my own boss or be in charge of a community action group. But the way I am right now and the person I see myself becoming, I think that being a leader of a small group is a better fit for my personality and my future goals than being the overall leader of an organization. Thank you so much. If you have any questions about my experience at camp thus far, I would love to talk about it. It was a really great look at what food service management could look like, and it actually made me more excited about possibly going into that, which a lot of people don't want to talk about, but I can talk to you guys about some of the funny things that happened, and also it just was great, such a great experience. So I hope you all have a great day, and thank you for listening. Bye!